Hello, everybody. So this is the end. Ta-da! So after this event, we have been doing like 9 events in April. Bravo, bravo for everybody who has been here. All the experts that join our coffee break sessions on Mondays. All the experts that join with really nice, interesting webinars like we're going to have today. And of course, our team that is behind the scenes setting everything so we can just do this all the time and yeah, just continue sharing with you great moments, great content, and really hopefully making it really fun and actionable because this is what we are about. For those who are new, I'm Maria, co-founder at 7 Days to Go. Within 7 Days to Go, we create something called the Expert Pool. There's a little logo that you see here with the life-saving icon floating thing. And we are about, yeah, right now we're more than 40 experts around the world. We counted the amount of languages and nationalities. We're at 11 right now. So we can speak your language. But for now, we launch in English. So we're doing events every single week. And recently, we also launched in Spanish. We're going to do 2 events per month in Espanol. I'm here in Bogota, and today I'm going to close the whole month with our expert of the month. We always have an expert in the spotlight, and that expert is Nelson, yeah, who is our expert in coaching, for both business and life coaching. Yeah, so the idea is to welcome Nelson and that he will tell us a little bit about what we're going to be speaking today. So,
Hey,
Nelson,
how's it going?
hola.
Hola, hola.
So here's Nelson. Of course, you can see our looks. We are not from the Netherlands. Our business is normally based in the Netherlands, but I am from Colombia. Nelson, where are you from?
I'm originally from New York City, but my background, my heritage is from the Dominican Republic.
So Nelson knows merengue.
Yes, that was a given. That was a must growing up. You
Yeah,
if you're 7, 8 years old at a birthday party, you're dancing merengue. So
for
whether you
sure.
like it or not.
Merengue, great, recommended for people in the Netherlands. The easiest to learn from all Latin rhythms. Huh? By the way,
Yes,
yeah.
that is a separate service. If anybody wants to learn.
True. Yeah. So, by the way, when you want to book Nelson also to do like basic merengue steps dancing,
Yes,
we can also do that. But today is all about coaching,
that's
and it's
right.
all about introducing Nelson as a business and life coach. That's a whole framework, a whole thing that we're going to explore during this session, where we're especially going to focus on leadership, right? So, what are we going to learn today, Nelson?
All right. Well, today let me bring up the
Yep.
slide. Well, uh, actually, yeah. So today, what we're learning about is the different ways in which we approach leadership.
Mm.
And I gave this webinar the title "Being a Better Leader in Your Business and in Life." Uh, Really, because we have default tendencies in how we approach every situation in our lives, and every situation is, whether we like it or not, we're leaders. We're leaders of ourselves. We lead ourselves into making decisions, into taking action, and what I'd like to break down today is the different ways in which we approach leadership, specifically with our business, and and that we also have tendencies in which we lead based on our previous experiences, based on what we know on how to take action in leadership.
And that's great. I like that you mentioned business and life, and that you also mentioned that it's not only for business owners. Of course, right now we have a community of entrepreneurs and people who are in business, and that we need to face leadership, yes or yes, in
Yeah.
our reality. Yeah. But what I really liked, especially when we're just now talking during the prep meeting, is that we're going to help you to see this in a really actionable way. Nelson is going to bring like situations that you can really relate on rather than like reading a book about leadership. Because we as entrepreneurs, we always have been there like reading a lot of things about how to become a better leader or team management or whatever. It's not really about this. It's really about being aware. I'm not anticipating something.
Mhm.
Yeah, increasing your awareness around this topic. And I'm really happy and excited to close this month in this way, because since Nelson joined the expert pool, it's like boom. It's such a relief because it goes across different categories. Like, you need to be good in yourself, and like aware about who you are as a person, as a business owner, as everything. So that's why for us, like lifestyle and coaching category, which is basically
Hmm.
your category, is really really important for us. It's like a final relief for all those business owners that we're always in this work mode, yeah, like getting things done, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, what about you? And how do you really see this? And how you can really reinvent yourself, especially in these times, reinvent yourself and reflect around it. Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, we started off our coffee at the beginning of the month, and looking at the new climates, and it's
Yeah.
the way things are happening, and the always the first step is awareness, is to understand how else can I look at this,
Yeah.
what am I not seeing, and bringing awareness to the ways we approach leadership, the way and the reasons why and what that looks like. uh, just having an awareness can at least propel us to taking the right steps in
Nice.
in changing what needs to be changed in order to get the results we're looking for.
So I will leave you after telling you the agenda of today. Well, we do this little introduction about the expert pool, about you. Of course, you will be able to tell more about yourself. Afterwards, we're going to have like 40 minutes to go through the whole content of the webinar. Everybody who's watching will just leave their comments and questions, live. And then we have a Q&A moment where we're going to just have like a more interactive, wrap up of the session with all the questions that come, during the presentation. And in the end, we're going to just invite you to upcoming events and wish you a really good weekend. So that's for me. I leave it up to you, Nelson. Success. I know you're going to do amazing. We
Eh,
see you.
did you say weekend? Nowadays, it's hard to identify what's a weekend or not. So that's so funny. Great. So thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks for inviting me, Maria, and everyone else. So today we're talking about being a better leader in your business and in life. And first, I'll introduce a little bit about myself, and we'll get into the objectives again, and the breakdown of the different ways we approach leadership. So a little bit about me. I am a certified professional business coach, and I started off my career in as a designer, as a graphic designer. I My career kind of took on by working with other businesses, other companies, agencies, where I worked with brands like the New York Yankees, Disney, Manchester United, all different kinds of brands, and creating visual and um, design products for them. And fast forward about 12 years later, I started my own business, a software development agency, with a couple friends, and we experienced tremendous success, especially in the first couple years. And I did this for about 7 years, and came to a point where I realized I needed to do something differently. And so I left the business, and it was the first moment where I didn't know what was next. And so that was a new experience for me, not knowing what was next. I had always planned a step ahead. I never um, left a job without having one secure uh, before leaving it, and this was the first time I realized I didn't know what to do next. So after months, I realized, I had worked with a career coach, and thought I would be in the product management side, and try to uh, create a new phase, new chapter in my career at that level. But then I learned about coaching, and thought, and saw the potential of learning the coaching skills and applying that to product management, so that I can ask better questions when I'm working with clients, when I'm consulting with clients in innovation and design thinking, and really trying to get them to the core of what they're trying to create, and really get to the truth of it all by asking really powerful questions. And I saw that in coaching right away. But what ended up happening is that I found a lots of fulfillment and joy in working in a one-on-one situation with a person, and seeing the transformation that can happen just within a few minutes of a coaching session. And I was really excited about being able to be part of that, being able to be part of someone's transformation. And so I said, let me stick to this. And I went into the coaching training program with IPEC and learned about energy leadership and the whole concepts around that, which is at the core of what we'll be discussing today. So I now help entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders um, understand their limitations. I work with them when they're stuck, when they're frustrated with situations in their business, and help them identify what are the things that are within their control that they can do, that that is getting in the way of influencing their teams, of being more efficient with their time, being more productive, feeling less overwhelmed, and being more effective at problem solving and decision making. So that being said, uh, how you lead is a decision, and what do we mean by that? It's it's under once we create awareness, now we're able to make a decision, and that's what we're trying to do today, is create awareness around the different ways we show up uh, in moments of leadership in our business. And whether we like it or not, we have to make decisions constantly all the time. And the focus that I'd like to point out today is in a situation of communication. What I'd like to show you is that we have a variety of perspectives that illustrate the modes from which we lead in our business. So the different ways in how we see a situation, how we think about a situation, and how we behave, how we ended up, all of that determines how we behave in a situation. So I'll give you an example. When early on in my old business, we experienced tremendous growth for the first 36 months. We went from one employee to having 40 employees, and we grew exponentially. And this we're about to experience our first little crisis. Um, at the time, the business landscape had shifted. There were other companies moving into our entering the markets, and we had groomed employees to be really top-notch developers and top-notch programmers. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves being poached by other companies. They were taking our top talent and offering them great salaries that were just, we were not expecting, and we couldn't compete at that level. So we were getting resignations left and right. Within a few months, we lost a good amount of people to other companies, and we thought we were doing everything right. We saw that. There we go. So we saw that people were just leaving, and we thought we were doing everything right. We had good salaries, we had a good program, and we encouraged learning, and we had autonomy going on, and people were engaged in the work that we were doing. So why were they leaving? And besides the so what I the point of the story is that the way I responded, I was very problem focused, and I was more or less in a state of looking at what was going wrong and what was not working. And by contrast, when I looked at my business partner, he was responding very differently, quite the opposite, actually. And when I noticed this, he was very solution driven, and I saw this unfold, where we started to look at what were the causes of this, where could we adjust in order to prevent this from continuing to happen. And I remember that time and realized, how is it that he can do that and I'm in this state of mind? And I think from then on I started to notice that more and did my best to implement that going forward. So uh, it's all right. So this is the leadership potential. What having gone through that experience, I realized I wanted to have that potential in leading a business, leading myself through challenges that are, from my point of view, seem there's a sense of helplessness and not knowing what to do next, whereas somebody else can see the same situation and take the time to understand why these things are happening and take a course of action that's going to uncover opportunity and create solution. So what we're going to talk about here today is energy leadership. And when I mean, anytime I use the word energy today, it's more about the idea of, let's say, an attitude or a vibe or an intention that we carry, and sometimes we may be aware of it, many times we're not. And those are going to be difference makers in having an effect on being intentional and being more or less having an influence on the results that you want to create in your business. So think about managers, right? Managers, by definition, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's controlling and making people do what you say, right? And as many of us know, that's not real leadership. Leadership is inspirational. It's it's being able to get others to take action, especially when times are difficult, challenging, or where there's a lack of motivation, and where people are seeing um, a sense of divide and having a negative energy. So the energy leadership process is it's a framework that helps you understand the different ways in which you're experiencing a situation. It breaks down the different perspectives, the core thoughts, the core beliefs, and behaviors that are lying underneath the surface of what we're saying and of what we're doing. And so to keep it simple, we have two categories of energy: catabolic and anabolic. And catabolic is more stress related. This is by definition, catabolic means to tear down, to more destructive energy. Too much of this can have really adverse effects in a person. Too much of this can have adverse effects to a group, a community, even. Um, and while there may be times where this is useful and can have its advantages, but uh, most of the time it's unnecessary stress that can be carried on throughout. And some of the levels from which we operate and making decisions about communication uh, are in the catabolic level. Then we have anabolic energy, where it's the opposite force, where there's creativity, there's it's more of a constructive, building up type of force, and and as a result from this, it's easier to focus on solutions. You tap into the creativity, the you experiencing more joy and more optimism in approaching situations. Uh, there's even less judgment about the activities, and you start to see things as a whole. Uh, you'll see how this unfolds as we move up the levels of energy leadership. So to set this up, to make this easy for this concept, this can get very complicated very quickly, so what I like to do in order to make this more relatable is is uh is how to I'll give you an example scenario where and you use this example from each level. Refer to this example as we go over each level. So imagine you have a business partner, and your partner is addressing excuse me. So your partner is in direct communication with several employees in your company, and you feel that his style of communication is very poor, and the effect of this communication, the effect on the employees is negative. So you feel that you must confront him about it, right? You feel that I need to talk to him about this, but you're concerned about how he's going to react to your comments. Now, now think about this, right? About how you would normally respond to a scenario like this. Um, so we're gonna break down the thoughts that you may have and the words that you may use um, in each level. So let's move on to level one. I'm going to so level one is at the lowest energy level. This is falls under the catabolic. This is the lowest of the catabolic levels, and essentially what's happening here is you view yourself as a victim. In the behavior, the core behavior is no behavior. It's inaction. Um, there's a sense of apathy towards handling a situation where you kind of brush it off. You put it off to till the end. There's this level is characterized with lots of feelings of guilt, of worry, of fear. Um, it's more of like if you're operating at the effect of life, at the effect of others, and situations that life throws at you. And so you're seeing a lot of the core behaviors here of procrastination and avoidance. Now, in at this level, in the example that I gave, level one, the thoughts behind this perspective is that it would be something like this. You would think, why is he doing this to me? Towards the example of the poor communication from your business partner. Why is he doing this to me? He just doesn't care about what he's doing. And so you might approach this, well, with nothing. So you're not going to say anything, right? Because at this level of energy, the typical reaction would be to ignore it and hope that it goes away. Right. And so what's driving that? That's a fear of confrontation, of creating, rocking the boat. You don't want to rock the boat, right? That's a level one approach to leadership. Now in business, that doesn't last very long. You start to see the impact of that very quickly, because you're constantly having to make decisions, difficult decisions in your business. And if you're not, if you're putting them off and avoiding them, that you're going to see the negative impacts of that quickly. So let's transition to level two. Now we're still in the catabolic category. However, the benefit here that at least there is some action. Yet this is still in the reactive state of mind. There's a lot of the core behavior here is categorized with frustration, with stress. There's a sense of combativeness and conflict. This is where you're like reacting and in a fight mode, and there's a sense of struggle that's associated with this level of leadership, with this level of, in our case, communicating. And you're still problem focused as well. You're thinking, what's wrong? What is not working? And also there's a bit of blaming that can happen from this level of leadership. So in our example of poor communication by your partner to several employees, the thoughts associated with this would be, well, he's so incompetent. I can't believe he just doesn't get it. I'm really pissed off about this, and I should not have to deal with it. So that's your thinking. That's your energy around the situation, and and the words that you'll use are something like this. This is how you would speak to him about it. You would say, "Hey, what are you thinking about? You're upsetting everyone, and I don't have the time to fix this myself. You'd better find a way to fix this now." So think about that response in or that approach in handling the poor communication in your company. The effects that can create. While you may get someone to comply, however, there's a sense of force and coercion that's being used that may get you short-term results, but in the long run, you may lose out on engagements or that willingness where people are inspired to do things above and beyond what is asked of them. You're going to miss out on those opportunities. So let's move on to but and so a quick point about this is that we see this a lot in everywhere. We see a lot of leadership like this, where there's do as I say or else. uh, I title each of these levels with the I win you lose. That is the core belief, the core perspective from this type of mindset. And so but we see this a lot, and a lot of people carry this in different areas of their business or in general in their lives. So moving on to level three, uh, this is the I win, maybe you win level perspective. Now we're transitioning into the anabolic. We start to see a bit more responsibility take place. We're moving towards a direction of optimism and creativity. However, here we're rationalizing the stress that is happening. We're explaining it away and sort of coping with the situation. It's sort of like, well, let's just get it done and get this over with. And 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 we try to encourage others. We may encourage productivity at this level, at best. So there's a lot of focus on let me just get this done. Um, the I win, maybe you win too is in comparison to level two, is that in level two is the I win, and since I'm fighting, I'm combating, you lose. So that's the logic behind it. Level three is a little bit better because it's still focused on the self of me winning or achieving something but not at the expense of others per se. It's more of like, if I get if you win, I have to get mine first. In other words, I win first, but if you win, that's okay. But as long as I win first. And so in the example of poor communication is that the core thought there, the possible thought is there's got to be a way to resolve this without too much pain. How can I play his ego to make him do what I want? So that's the thinking behind it. And the words that one might share would be, hey, I'm wondering how you might get your point across to them in a way that will get you what you want without dealing with too much grief. What do you suggest? So now you see the rationalization that's happening there. There's more fostering a sense of cooperation. It's not as aggressive as level two, but it's still it's moving towards let's find solution mode. Now we're more solution focused. That's the biggest difference that I could point out today on between the first two levels, which are catabolic, and this level and the upcoming levels, which are more anabolic, creative, optimistic. All right, so level 4. Now we begin to have more concern for others. This level is more associated with the ideas of oh, sorry, look at my slide. Looks like I there is not anyway, never mind that. So level 4 is more about helping others. It's about fixing. It's about there's a bigger sense of optimism, and there's a lot of compassion and caring is associated with this level. You're acting with an intention of serving, uh, with an intention of fostering collaboration. There's a major focus on others and finding the solution for others. And so while this each of these levels, by the way, they have disadvantages and advantages. Even at the level 1, there's advantages to them. But a quick highlight of a disadvantage at this level is that while you may be focused on others and in this concern level, too much of this, where when it's imbalance, can create um, where you may lose sight of yourself or your business. For example, a nonprofit may be, well, I'm gonna bust my ass and do all this work so that children are fed in wherever they need feeding, and where the focus is so much on others that you forget to take care of yourself and create boundaries, and you may stress yourself out in trying to care for others, that you may lose a sense of balance in caring for yourself. So that's an example. But going back to the core to the poor communication example with the partner. So the core thought there would be, I feel bad for our employees. They need to feel safe. Also, I really care about my partner and don't want to upset them. So look at that those thoughts are associated with other people, and not wanting and making sure that they're taken care of. So the words that you might use in at this level would be, hey, we have a problem and I consider myself responsible because I haven't addressed it up until this point. I know you well. You mean the best for this company and for our people, but they may not hear you clearly all the time. How can we make them happier so they feel secure and we can honor each other's roles and responsibilities? Again, you see, it's trying to make peace of everything. Um, so level 5, moving on. Now this is where we get interesting, where the at this level of leadership, you start to see more things at a holistic level, and you try to create opportunities where there's win-win, uh, a winning opportunities for everyone to benefit from the decisions being made, from the action taken. Um, Comparing to level 3, this is more of a level 3 was more black and white, um, whereas like yes, no, and there's only two choices. Level 5 is more of like, let's discover opportunity that we're not seeing. This is where you're asking, what are we not seeing that can help solve for both? You're starting to create a wider perspective of the situation. Um, with this level, you see a characteristic in behavior that shows a sense of inner peace. It shows a sense of confidence and calmness. um, a person experiencing leadership at this level is feeling fulfillment. They're more accepting of reality. They're more accepting of the situations, and when you're able to do that, This is where creativity can begin to unfold, because now you've accepted things as they are, and you can move on into uh, creating the innovative ideas, the seeing the opportunities that are not so obvious when a situation arises, like a crisis. So, what are the core thoughts for our example of poor communication in the company? So, your thoughts would be, hey, up until now, we've done okay, and even with poor communication, I can't even imagine where we'll go once we take that to the next level. So it's more like seeing opportunity, like, wow, we've gotten this far, and despite having poor communication in our company, if we can just make some changes, we could go super far, and have next level success. So the action, the words would be, towards a partner would say, hey, I think we have a great opportunity to better connect with our employees so that everyone wins. Let's brainstorm some of what we might do to work better as a team so that everyone, including us, profits. So you see there, at this level of leadership, um, there's a bit of acceptance with how someone handled the situation, or what someone did. There's no blaming, there's no pointing out faults. It's like, hey, look, we're focused on opportunity. And you kind of just skip all that, and dive into to what's possible. Where are we? We're at level 5, right? Yes. All right. So level 6, and this is where really cool stuff happens. The core characteristic here is I would say, is wisdom. This is where synthesis happens, where you start to connect the dots, from this level, at this level of leadership. You start to so yeah, the core thought idea is synthesis as the perception that you're taking, where everyone's gifts and talents sort of come together as a whole. The you start to connect the dots, and create this type of thinking, this type of leadership is is where innovation happens. This is where you see that everyone we're always winning. The You start to see very few leaders. I mean, I would say the greatest leaders that we've seen tap into this level, or lead from this level often, and can access this, and this is the where the ideas that have never been seen before come out, and they just have a grander view of life altogether. So with a poor communication example, the thinking behind the perspective taken in that scenario would be something like this. What we feel within, we project onto others. This is the thinking, right? Our words and representation of who we are. Sorry, our words are a representation of who we are. This situation is a great exercise in self-awareness. So there's you don't sense any judgment in the thinking of good or bad. At this level, you're not seeing this as a bad situation or a good situation. You're just seeing what is, and seeing an opportunity to simply practice self-awareness. So the action that you would take here is, as you speak to your partner who has poor communication with the employees, is, hey, I'm enjoying watching the dynamic between you and the others. I'm learning a lot about us all in the process. I see myself in your shoes, and I see myself in theirs as well. How are you experiencing this? So, so you see, there's a lot of empathy also associated with this level. This is uh, At this level, the leader is you're trying to create a sense of empathy and understanding from the partner's perspective, so that you start to just accept it as is, and from there you create new solutions that can take you to new levels of communicating. You're bypassing the back and forth, the finger pointing, the I'm right, the I'm wrong conversations. Do this my way or else, or do this my way but your way sounds okay, but listen, this way is what way better. Here it's there's room for a sense of connection, um, that can flourish from this. So imagine taking this approach, and what happens uh, to that partnership, that relationship, going forward, if you're constantly approaching that partnership at that level. So that is all for today in terms of the levels. There's one more level, level 7, but I won't get into that today because that gets more complicated, in terms of what it all means, and how to even apply this. So but today I've shared with you the at the core of my coaching methodology, energy leadership, and there's an energy leadership development system that I follow when I work with clients in developing the skills of how to uh, approaches, how to begin approaching situations in your life, uh, to sorry, how to approach this and how to master that over time. So what are the takeaways for today? It's 1 second here. There we go. Yeah, so we talked about the different levels in which we approach leadership. And again, this doesn't apply to one thing in your business. We can be at this level in anything. Um, you know, at levels in areas where we're out of our comfort zone, we may avoid them altogether, or we may approach them with a sense of aggression. Another thing that we did, we broke down the behaviors, we broke down the thoughts and emotions associated with each level, and we try to create an understanding of how that impacts you in the moments, how it impacts you over time, and your business in general. So I'd like to point you to some resources and steps that you could take, and if this seems interesting, there's a book out there called Energy Leadership. It's by the founder of the coaching program that I've trained under, Bruce Schneider. He gives a very elaborate uh, case study of a business owner, and how these different levels are being demonstrated throughout his company, and even the business owner himself. It's a really interesting book. If you own your own company, if you're a consultant, I highly recommend reading this, because it gives you an idea of what's possible in handling the same situation from different levels. And I also offer the Energy Leadership Index assessment. This is an attitudinal assessment. Most of us are familiar with personality assessments like Myers-Briggs and DISC. This is more of like, what is your attitude towards situations? What is your attitude towards stressful situations? And the mix of that. And I could be happy to talk about what that entails, and the results from that. And then also one-on-one coaching that I'm offering through the expert pool. I think there's a link associated with that. So, and that is all. I think we're moving on to Q&A, correct? Oh, where are we?
Yay! I'm back. Nice, good job, Nelson.
Oh, thank you.
I was taking a lot of notes, by the way. About the
Okay.
slides, we're going to add the links of everything that you were mentioning, and we're going to send it for those who didn't had the chance to RSVP, because we normally post our events everywhere. We have
Mm,
we have like around 15 emails right now. If you want us to share these slides, the video, and also the resources that Nelson was talking about, please share your email via comments, or just send us a private message, and we're going to send it right after this Q&A and wrapping up our, yeah, so we have like 50 minutes. That's good because we have a lot of questions. So
oh, good.
let's go from start to finish. Yeah, I will read them. You just reply. I will just take care of time management because we have
Okay.
a lot of questions here.
All right. So I'll sit back and
Yeah,
hear.
let's see. So the first question is, how do you manage your fast growing company as a leader? Because you mentioned in the beginning that you started a company, boom, you
Mm,
have like few people and then suddenly it grows a lot. And I have also met people that have like a scale up, or they have an investor and then the team is like boom. How do you manage that as a leader that grows?
so fast growth, it's, well, wow. The way I handled that then, it felt good because right growth. We had clients that were increasing their business, and that means hire more people. So that felt really great at first because that meant we're a legitimate company, and we're gonna go all the way to the top. That type of feeling. And and I think the the things that came up that were difficult showed up later. So, for example, uh, when we grew from 4 people to 36 in less than a year, you're like, all right,
Wow.
cool. Now we expanded our spaces and hired personnel to help us manage. It was like almost a year later where for example we had to give reviews and had to understand how to do the things that people wanted. Like, for example, when you're a small company of 6 to 12 people, you can be very flexible with time off and vacations and how you if you work from home and things like that. You As we were growing, I started to see, wow, we need to start getting uniformity with our policies, and if we don't have a policy, we're going to need a policy. So things like
Yeah.
that. I think the I share this a lot with, at least when I work with clients in software, that one change, let's say you hire an employee, well, in software, you make a change in your software, there's repercussions, there are
Yeah.
implications of other changes that you may not be seeing now. So it's important to take moments and evaluate, why are you doing this, and what are the possible implications of that. So just like if
Okay.
you're moving and you're hiring people, it's important to understand that early.
Yeah, and also the bigger the company is, the more need of structure, policies, all of these things. And
Absolutely.
normally, as an entrepreneur, starting entrepreneur, you don't have those things in the beginning, like establishing,
No.
structure, or like really formal ways of relationships, or like creating an HR department or whatever,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
all
of course
this
not.
gives
And
a
you
little
don't need it.
stiffness, huh?
Rightfully so. Right. You need, it's action. Let's validate our ideas. Let's get the
Yeah.
ball rolling, and
Mm-hmm.
with, things that are needed at the big company corporate levels are totally wrong for a small
Mm-hmm.
company. Small companies can pivot quickly. They
Yeah.
can innovate, but as you grow, now you need to start looking at the benefits from structure from big companies.
Yeah, it's pros and cons type of thing, which is related to the second question, that is like, how is leadership style affected or like influenced by different cultural backgrounds?
That's okay. Yeah. So when we started our company, so my partners and I were all New York based, U.S. Uh,
Mm.
trained and experiences, and and we founded the company, yes, out of New York, but our core office and operations were out of Medellin, Colombia, um,
Oh, really?
neighboring city for you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the culture there, as you would imagine, is very different. The business culture, especially,
Hmm.
and So one of the it was being sensitive to what they were, because for example, when we asked for let's say a level of engagements and communication directly with clients, um, we were expecting one thing and we got another, and we were just at first we were like, hey, why are you approaching it this way, to the Colombian teams, and we start to realize, well, yeah, this is not normal in our business cultures.
It's
And
not.
so, for example, like engaging with a client of the company,
Yeah.
which are U.S. clients, and so one of the things is that at an employee level, this it's rare to see it, at least then, the encouragement of you take action, you ask questions, uh,
Mm-hmm.
you say no, like being able to say no to a client. So we were expecting that from our employees at a communication level, and then we realized, oh, we need to communicate that and tell them that it's okay to
Yeah.
to, to take that approach.
Well, I can say this, like Colombians are about positive communication all the time. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
amazing, everything is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
No pasa nada, everything is cool.
yeah. No pasa nada. Bro.
And we will going to figure this out. It's always like
Yeah,
that. And, for me, like the gap between this and, for example, the Netherlands, that we both live in Amsterdam, is like, whoa, when you say so many optimistic things, it's like suspicious. Something is really wrong.
right,
Like,
right.
let's really talk about
Yeah,
things in a direct, bold way. Yeah. So it's
yeah,
really interesting topic. That alone is a next webinar topic.
yeah. Of course. Well, even a quick example is the greeting. Like
Yeah.
in New York, having had all my experiences there, you start an email with like, "Hey, I need this. Get it. Let me know." Verse or a conversation or a phone call. And where in Colombia it was like, "Hey, how's it going? And how's the family?" And there's that
Yeah.
warm up before
Yeah.
you even get down to business.
Always. True.
In places like the U.S., it's like, let's get right down to business.
Straight to the point. Yeah.
So
Okay. So let's move to the next question to be direct because we don't have a lot of time.
yes, of course.
So, how are you aware of what type of energy you have as a leader? Because you expose the different types of energies, and
Mm,
maybe most people think that, yeah, like it's saying here, are most people problem focused?
yes. So the awareness comes with practice. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of so we carry default tendencies within our thinking, within our behaviors, and even the emotions that are produced from that. Um, and sometimes we're not even aware, or we think that that's normal, or that that's the only way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's a matter of constant. I mean, we hear about awareness and being present of what's happening. We hear that a lot, and I think that's this is where that applies. Is how am I responding? Why am I responding this way? Let's say it's a level two, and the
Yeah.
event has triggered a sense of anger in you,
Yeah.
and the unmonitored or without the awareness, you would be reacting in a combative, confrontational way that leads to the where it leads. So depending on who's on the other side of that, as well, because the other person has their own energy that they. So depending on where you are, you're going to respond accordingly, and vice versa. So, but it's being able to pause and ask like, hey, why is this making me upset, and do some self examination. Uh,
I
but
think
that
that's
kind of stuff,
a good tip, because otherwise we're just in going mode,
reacting
reaction
mode.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah. It's reacting. You're
Yeah.
trying to protect something, protect the self when you're reacting,
Yeah.
and the practice comes into knowing when how to be a bit more present and ask yourself the right questions
Yeah.
that position you into controlling things that are within your control, which is yourself. Control
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts, control your speech, your actions. Uh, Instead of saying, "Hey, you, what the hell? Why are you doing that?" Versus
Yeah.
like, "Hold on, let me approach this in a different way."
Okay, which is also linked to the next question because it was like how you communicate indicates your leadership style, which is basically
Hmm.
yeah, it's an affirmation. So it comes down to actions on how you communicate or interact. How to identify my level. I think that many people just justify themselves all the time, like yeah, of course I'm like this because I'm always stressed or whatever.
Hmm.
You self sabotage all the time, like I'm so stressed, whatever. So there's an assumption like, is there a way to identify my leadership style? So it comes back to what you were saying,
Hmm.
like understanding, identifying things the day to day basis, and maybe
Right.
taking notes or having a time to stop and reflect on how you normally react to different situations, no?
Yes, yes. It starts with that in terms of how to do it, but in terms of the concept of energy leadership, I mean, I mean, I just give a short presentation, but it's identifying the core thought. There's a core thought, a core belief, perspective underlying everything that we do and everything that we say. There's a core intention. So, for example, you ask someone, "Well, why do you want to start a business, or why do you want this type of client?" And for many people, it would be something about money. I want to make a shit ton of money, or I want the best clients. And and then when you get to the core of it, there's probably something else that's driving that, um, and you may not be satisfied with that answer. So I think what I'm getting into is more of like a level of consciousness and understanding. Um, but the other, I would also add to that. It's I guess I'm losing my train of thought here. It
Yep. Huh?
No, I guess I wanted to add more to that. This concept, how do you understand this? I would say, yeah, come talk to me, and we can have 15 minutes uh, conversation about
Yeah, I know. I want to
how
wrap
to
it
do
up
it
with the
more
last
one.
questions. Of
Yeah.
course, you're welcome to always stay around the comments so you can directly reply, after
Okay.
this session because most people are like just posting comments in the end, like with questions. But
Okay.
we can just pick some, because we have like 3 minutes to go. So I will say that something that we haven't covered is how to move forward to we both win situation or win-win situation. That's a good one
Hmm.
to maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
reply.
yeah. So it's so the level 5 and level 6 is that's where we ideally in terms of,
Mhm.
like I said, there's advantages and disadvantages to each. It depends on who you are and what your intentions are, and having awareness of that. But with it depends on where you're coming from. In terms of transitioning, if you identify yourself with any of these levels at any moment, or you imagine yourself, oh, I operate at level 1 in this area in my life, generally the it's a transition and you want to move analogously, uh, from a level 1 to a 2, maybe a 3. So it's transitional, just
Okay,
so that you have an idea of how this kind of stuff works. And it starts with having an awareness, and then being able to ask yourself the right questions, to have the self leadership to help you create that shift.
cool. So, awareness. In
That's
one
what it
word,
says.
becoming aware of what we can do
That's
and
the
how we
first
can
step.
switch, go, from
Yeah.
upgrade our levels, let's
And,
say.
and the reason, I guess, the reason awareness is so important, because if you don't know, if you're not aware, then you're not at fault because you don't know.
Yeah,
You're not aware. But now that you do know, it's your choice. It's your decision to continue or make a change.
cool. I think it's a good wrap up. We have other questions, but I really invite you to take the time to reply them, like to reply to them directly via
Yeah.
comments. How to lead and efficiently communicate within a remote team. Really interesting now,
Hmm.
how you establish that relationship in a setup that that you might lose all the nonverbal communication, even if you have, cameras like we're doing it right now. Of
Of
course, it's
course.
limited to what we can do, especially teams that are always remote. For example, we with the experts, I haven't seen experts like for like some of them I haven't met in person, and some of them I only communicate, online for
Mhm.
years. So in that setup, and now that we're in this Corona situation, what is your advice? I think that it's good to reply this via comments, and also. Do you think that a leader needs to have like extroverted skills? That's something that always happens. Like you need to be extrovert and like
Mm.
this charming person or whatever to to be a good leader.
Yeah,
Good
I
questions,
don't believe
right?
that. I don't, because I've seen all
Yeah,
types, where people are more, they don't want to
yeah,
be in the spotlight, or they don't want to have to communicate, and there's advantages to that approach, and there's ways to, it's essentially understanding your leadership style and how to
yeah.
develop that so that it works to your advantage.
I
Because
think
you hear about leadership and you think, oh, there's only one way to do it. Like there's lots of ways to do it.
no.
But it's being able to understand yourself a little bit more, and using your strengths to your advantage, identifying your weaknesses, and recognize them, so that you're integrating it all and creating your own leadership style.
Great. So 1 hour is up. Can you please help me
Right.
move forward to the next slides?
Oh yes, here
Nelson.
we go.
So here we go. The next one is we always offer after all of our events 15 minutes for free, so you can talk to our experts and just get the conversation. Not everybody's so extrovert to post
Hmm.
even a question via comments, and we understand that. And sometimes you're really facing a stressful situation that takes more time. So we really invite you to take advantage of this 15 minute call to talk about it, to maybe identify your leadership style or see what is your current struggle within your team, or setting up things from scratch. I think that this time for sure is a really nice time for us to reflect on what type of leaders we are and how we can take things to the next level, literally
Hmm.
to the next level.
Yes,
So please book
yes,
Nelson,
yeah.
apart from
Feel free.
he's going to stay some time. Yeah,
How long?
thank
How
you.
long do they have? What's the
Yeah,
time
like we
frame
said, your availability for the next weeks.
for
So yeah,
next
you
week?
just pick first game, first serve. If
First
we
come,
have a
first
lot of
serve.
demand, I will talk to you to see if we can open a new slot. Let's see. Let's see. But it's a really interesting topic. We can talk about this forever. So good
Absolutely.
to take this one-on-one session with Nelson to go and dive into it.
Awesome.
Next, so, upcoming events, as I said before, we have our agenda for May ready, but this is the next event. So, we're going to have every Monday we have coffee break, which is basically this interaction that we have right now. It's a live Q&A. And because I live in Colombia and I always talk about me living in, no, I'm from Colombia and I live in the Netherlands. Everybody asking me, how is it to be an entrepreneur in the Netherlands? How to get there? Everything legally in terms of what you have to do especially as a non-EU to enter the Dutch market. We're going to be talking about this with Masha. She's helping us with everything in regards to mentoring people in the startup visa and showing not only the requirements but how does it look to be international in the Netherlands, that we both are, Nelson and me, and many experts that are international based in the Netherlands. So that's the next coffee break. It's just half an hour. Grab your favorite coffee and join us. After that, we have Nelson,
So
please.
yeah, this is my
After
first day with
that,
moving slides.
we have our next coffee break session. It's the first one in Spanish. We're going to talk about the legal checklist for your website. So if you're hearing now and you speak Spanish, por favor, únanse a este evento para poder tener un checklist. Checklist means like e-commerce and also websites are booming now. Thousands of websites are created during corona crisis, and we want to know, like, to let you know what do you need to take into account when it comes to legal, terms and conditions,
Mhm.
privacy policies, when you're doing marketing, what to take into account for your within your campaigns, etc. That's the next one. And then we have the first English webinar, which is exactly on Thursdays. So it's how to create a recession-proof business, which means let's be creative. Like we talk about value proposition, redefining your value proposition with Melanie this month. So the next step is really giving you the guidelines on how to move into something solid, that you have like your business fundamentals in place. And over there, we're also going to invite you to the new bootcamp that we have, around this topic, 4 weeks working together to define your business value proposition, especially in these times. Yeah, I think that's everything, Nelson. There's also, yeah, that's
Yes,
everything done.
it's everything.
We're 4 4 minutes later, but okay, here we
Not
are.
bad.
Please contact us. It was really interesting. Thank you, Nelson, for your time. We'll stay in touch. Have a really nice weekend, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for
Yeah.
an amazing month. You were the expert in the spotlight. You closed this month with an amazing
Yes,
webinar. Thank you for that. Thanks.
April. Um,
Okay,
how do I stay?
we just say goodbye.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everybody.
Ciao, ciao. Bye, bye,
Goodbye.
everybody. Bye.